I am so inherently a
No,
rebellious
I
person.
know what you're saying.
And I think that most people, if they lived in Gaza and their family and their people had been treated that way, most people with a spine would fight back, right? And if you didn't fight back.
All right, so let's separate something for a second. Let's agree that what Israel is doing at this point to continue perpetrating what they're doing on Gaza is wrong, and some of it is tantamount to genocide. Fine. In the general concept of things, if I don't really use these terms, so I never remember which one is the right definition. But if you could like steel man the Israeli perspective, not on killing kids and killing innocent civilian women and men and stuff like that, but on the idea of they are one, whatever it is, like 10 million population pocket in the middle of billions of Arabs and Islamic states around them who have one spot, and therefore it's like, can you see where they're coming from to be like,
oh, totally.
We're trying to exist. We only have one little spot. Yes, it's a very important piece of land, but like all these other places have all these spots and they're trying to completely get rid of us. We're the good guy here.
Yeah. And I can see how you would also clearly you're right that Hamas is a horrible organization. Hamas is a terrorist organization that does terrorist acts, and they are equally evil to not equally, but they are also evil to the Palestinian people, the Palestinian
they're also
civilians.
not Palestinian.
They're horrible people. And most of them are being shipped. And there's this whole other terror network that is, being funded by Iran and all these other, it is not as simple as just saying like the Palestinians are all innocent and the Israelis are hurting them, obviously. And yes, the argument of like, what would you do? Like Israel has to defend itself to a certain degree, I understand, but also like, if a bully bullies one kid in my classroom, then it's like maybe the teacher should step in and like sort this out and help everyone get along. But if a bully walks into a crowd of like 100 best friends and starts bullying one of them incessantly, and then all the best friends start being like, "We'll fuck you up," is it like, I'm sorry, dude? Like, what are you doing?
Where's the line?
Why are you doing that? You should probably learn to make friends. And as a teacher, in my experience, actually, all bullies are just kids that were hurt. And I'm not intentionally trying to say that, like, I'm not trying to overdraw this metaphor, but it's in a teaching world. A lot of bullies are actually kids that were hurt, don't have a family that loves them, things problems at home. And once you teach them to be diplomatic with with the kids that they're trying to get along with by bullying, they actually are often the biggest sweethearts. And they're often like totally wonderful people once they learn the social skills to do it. And in a certain parallel, I would wish that Israel would try, and I know Israel will say, and they do, that we've tried giving them the land back. We've tried diplomacy. We've tried giving them things. And what do we get in return? Rockets raining down on us. And it's like, yes, to a certain degree, that is true, like for sure. And to a certain degree, that is the consequences of your own fucking actions. That is the consequences of you terrorizing these people. And you're inevitably going to have terrorists growing up in that population that will continue to terrorize you. That is not an excuse to take the low road and to bomb all the next generation of them and to make a whole fucking 1,000 million more terrorists, right? Because that is all you're ever going to do. You're either going to eradicate every single one of them, or every single last one of them you didn't eradicate will hate you till they die, and they will do everything they can to kill you because you've killed their family, their parents, their sisters, their loved ones. So what do they have to lose, right? If I lived, like, let's be clear, I don't, so thank fucking God I'm not. But if I lived in Gaza, I would probably be a fucking terrorist. Like, I am such a rebel. I am so inherently a rebellious person.
I know what you're saying.
And I think that most people, if they lived in Gaza and their family and their people had been treated that way, most people with a spine would fight back, right? And if you didn't fight back, you're kind of a fucking coward.
Yeah, I talk about this a lot with any form of terrorism, regardless of where it is. It's like, I don't empathize with the act. You go blow up a building of 100 people, like, fuck that and fuck you.
Yeah.
What I do always try to understand for a future perspective in trying to make the world a better place is trying to empathize with what got the person to that point.
Yes.
What was in their environment that got them to that point, and how can we improve that in the next generation so there's one less of them.
Yeah,
at the
exactly.
very least.
And I would wish upon those Palestinian people that have been wronged like that I would hope that they can mature enough to take that high road. Because when I was younger, I would have joined up. I would have been like, fuck this shit, I'm fighting. But as you get older, you realize, like me now, I would be like, no, there needs to be a high road here because violence is an endless cycle of violence. And I think Israel is the one in the position to try to take that high road. And the problem about a high road is you have to stay on the high road. And just because you take the high road and then the bully punches you again doesn't mean you like, oh, now I'll just bully him back. It's like, that's just a fucking endless cycle of violence. And so like that's sort of this dynamic that is, there is no good win, but ultimately, if you keep on bombing as your solution, you're just going to keep on killing and you're going to keep on getting hated and the whole thing will just keep on cycling and you're going to keep on losing American support because Americans more and more are looking at it like, why the fuck are we sending billions of dollars over there? Like, why am I paying taxes on my labor here in the United States to send over to your country so you can bomb your problem while simultaneously you're passing anti-speech laws in my country that is making it so that I cannot speak out about this other foreign government? I can say all the shit I want about the CIA and about the government and about President Trump on my fucking in my country, but I'm not allowed to criticize another country, or I might get deported, or I might get like lose my college degree or whatever the fuck goes on. Like, not to mention you can't boycott Israel now, anti-boycott sanctions, and divestment
wasn't there
policies.
something they were voting on the other day?
They were about to, and it got pulled.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the trigger to start making videos of like, these are all the companies you are not allowed to boycott. Just to be clear, do not boycott these companies. It would be illegal if you were to boycott these fucking companies, because that's the kind of person I am. Because like, don't fuck with our Constitution, bro.
Yes.
Like, that is not a winning strategy either, right?
Now here's the thing I always bring up on this that's interesting. Okay. First of all, it's very odd. Like, it's called AIPAC, right? So AIPAC.
American.
Replace that I with anything, not China. Okay, that like you start with people that we view as enemies, right? Don't even the ones that we view as enemies. Don't even replace it with that. Replace it with a B for Britain.
Yeah.
If it were ABAC or whatever the fuck it would be called, people would be like, why the fuck is Britain lobbying our government to tell us what to do? You know what? You might be our friends. We fought a fucking war 250 years ago about
Britain
this.
does and can lobby our government, and they register as a foreign agent to do it.
Right, which is different.
And I would argue it's also fucking stupid, and we should stop that. We should stop all of that.
But it's designated.
But it's designated.
It's designated.
And I'm not a super expert at all the legal implications of this, but the registration, one of the basic things it does is it forces different standards about where is the money coming from. Right? So that we have a lot more transparency about registered foreign agents, about where the money's coming from and what it's funding and all this stuff.
Sure.
Whereas AIPAC does not have to do that because it's American.
Right. And so, point being, like, I'll put myself in Israel's shoes for a second. We have a democracy here in America that...
Well, we have a republic that is democratic in nature.
Okay. Either way, semantics,
I know,
right? A free place of ideas where, which also has its downsides of people being able to curry influence and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm all the way over here in the Middle East. Everyone hates me. These guys, this country is my friend. I'm going to find every way I can to keep them close to me. And one of the ways I can do that, there's other ways we've talked about already today, but one of the ways I can do that is to curry influence there, which they've always been doing. So they use our system that we allow them to do. They're allowed to do it. It's in the open. And they curry favor among our politicians because they give money that they're freely allowed to give to do it. And so I always turn around and say on this, why the fuck haven't we looked internally to stop that? Why do we not say they need to be a foreign registered agent? Like and 2 years ago, pre-October 7th, the easy argument would have been because they already have too much influence. And you could still make that argument today. But if you look at, like, I'll use the example of Thomas Massey on the right side, which is completely AIPAC'd up, except for him. And he's a libertarian. He's listed as like a Republican, but he's a pure libertarian guy. When he's come out against AIPAC, which no one on his side does, it's upped his numbers. They go after him, but it's that's what I'm saying. Yep. It's upped his numbers. So why is America not looking internally and saying, you know what, like, fuck it. They're right now they're free to pay candidates that may be more supportive of them, but like people don't want to see any countries, let alone people that, even claim to be our allies, influencing what we do here in America and influencing laws here in America. So why don't we change that? Why don't we look internally and change that? Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.